Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal, here again with Crannk. And today I'm having a chat with Justin from Tides Collide, reasonably new metalcore band out of Melbourne. Exciting new single, Crown, which is really, really cool, man. I'm enjoying the heck out of that. I've been cranking it this morning while I've been busy at work. Justin, thank you so much for making some time to have a chat with me, man.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Jai. How are you today?
Good, man. Good. Busy. It's been a busy day. There's some great releases coming out today, so I'm trying to spread the word a little bit on them and flat out, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I think that's isolation, isn't it? We pick the
It,
right moment in time to where everyone's indoors so we can get some nice heavy tunes in people's ears.
yeah, well, that's the key. Supporting bands, and especially bands like yourself that are coming up and have this great sound. Tides Collide. People that haven't heard of you guys, man, do you mind just telling me briefly who you guys are?
Yeah, that's completely fine. So Tides Collide are four people spread across Melbourne and Warrnambool that love to play metalcore. And I guess we all met through Facebook and Melband. And we are pretty DIY. We organize our own shows. We love our local scene. And we actually, yeah, as long as we can make some nice heavy tunes with a bit of color as well, with melodic elements, then I think that we'll be pretty happy to keep sharing our music with the world.
Yep. Yeah, it's got a great sound. How did that work? You all formed through Facebook and the Smell Band. Was it like is that a social networking group for bands or?
Yeah. So, following my last band breaking up, I took a few years with music or away from music, and then Melbourne is basically this social networking site where it's a website and you can list band members, basically requesting band members to fill this particular project, and so Tom and Angus, the vocalist and the drummer, were looking for a guitarist, and so they put a ad out, and I responded to it, and that was September 2018, and then we found Jared in June, yeah, in June, which was the bassist and the singer, and I think from there, so that's June 2019. From there, it was literally just like Facebook message, and trying to organize a rehearsal together as well, and also rights, which was very important.
Yeah. So, how did you first pick up guitar then? And what was your previous band?
Yeah, cool. So I first picked up guitar after listening to Jimi Hendrix when I was 12.
Dude, good,
Yeah, the
cool,
man.
man.
The man. Yeah. And then I guess like I like all of those sort of Seattle bands, like Nirvana, Soundgarden. And then I wanted something heavier. I listened to End of Heartache by Killswitch Engage and was like transfixed. So I was like, yeah, I want this. So I got heavier and heavier, and then afterwards, I just yeah, in and out of bands. My last band was basically Rejuvenate. It was a post-hardcore band in
Yep.
Melbourne, Australia. And so we had a good run, had a few singles, and also um, did a tour down Mount Gambier, down your way. Yeah, in that
Yeah.
border, South Australia.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was very good to sort of hang out with some bands there. And yeah, and I think that from here, this is a lot more metal than I thought.
Yep.
But it's nice. It's nice to revisit all those like epic bands like Parkway Drive, Trivium, Killswitch, and just sort of like get back into that and try to put a new sound to it as well.
Yeah, it has a good sound, and the heavy vocals of Tom are really cool. How does the vocal progression work? You've got the heavy and you've got the clean vocals coming in. Who's doing the clean? And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, cool. So everything starts off with a riff per
Yep.
se, and then what happens is that it starts off with a riff, but it's workshopped in a rehearsal room, so that you can have the room sound. So it's usually guitar, drums, brutal death metal vocals, and then the cleans will come after that. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think that Tom would take a lot of time to just sort of sit with like screaming on top. And then if there was an avenue for a melodic line, I would come up with a melodic chorus.
Yep.
And I think that Jared came pretty late in our band, but he's been quite instrumental in adding a few harmonies. So he'll probably be the last element. Tom is the first element vocally, then it's me, then it's Jared, and then we're like, blend it together. Yeah.
It comes together well. So are you working together from a distance? Is that what you're saying, across country Victoria there and into Melbourne, or?
Yeah. So, you know how bands are, they're
Yeah.
like five-way marriages. So Tom lives in Warrnambool, and myself, Angus, and Jarrett live in Melbourne, just
Yep.
across different suburbs. Our main long distance relationship is communicated over Facebook Messenger. And Tom, he's got an epic sort of story. So and one day he'll have a chat with you in terms of how he travels from Warrnambool to Melbourne.
Yeah.
3 hour, so it's like 6 hour return trip every 2 weeks
Yep.
just to meet us.
Yeah, that's
And
really cool. But then you
yeah,
just have all these ideas as well. You're working off each other on Facebook and like this medium as well. So when you get together in that room after 2 weeks, it's like, dude, it would be so cool. Let's get into
yeah.
this.
It's kind of a little bit more refined as well. I think like Dropbox and Google Drive and
Yep.
online production has made it very simple to just track an idea as
Yep.
well. And definitely like kudos to the boys as well, for working hard. It might be like we might have an idea, but to actually take that idea and try to record it properly. So we recorded it properly with Chris Themelco from Monolith Studios, um, and Zach from Earthside Studios. And
Yep.
yeah, they're really, really awesome dudes, and like we cannot thank them enough for just recording this EP.
Yeah, Chris's name has been coming up a fair bit. Last night, me and Sean were chatting about Chris
All
as
right.
well. Yeah. He's done some amazing work production wise, and there's so many metal bands he's been working with. And then we were talking about Orpheus Omega as well, that album they brought out, and they've just got this great melodic death metal sound. He's a really smart person musically as well. Must be pretty cool to work with someone like that, especially coming up through for your first single and that first taste with a producer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, yeah, with Orpheus Omega, like Where Your Sins was a great album. Like just heavy riffs, thick riffs, like very
Yeah.
chunky. Yeah. I think it was really nice in the studio to have that feedback loop.
Yep.
So it's nice we might have an initial idea, but to actually take that idea and the producers kind of nitpick at it, say, oh,
Yep.
maybe add this sort of texture, etc. Um, and Chris and I actually, in the last song of our EP, True North, we workshopped a lot of really cool ideas, like probably like quite jazzy
Yep.
ideas, and we were doing it off a Jackson Randy Rhodes. Isn't it Randy Rhodes? It's like a flying V, and I'm like, this doesn't feel metal at all, but really cool. Show
Yep.
me what to play, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That jazz though, a lot of metal people I've talked to have had that a bit of the jazz roots as well, and fed off of that through from family, i.e. I think it's important to have that mix as well, and it's good to have that little bit of a jazz, man. That's where everything kind of comes from, doesn't it? Originally, that metal and that heavier sound.
Yeah. I think it's coming back into form through this new name. It's called The Jazz.
Yeah.
Not The Gent, it's The Jazz is coming up.
It's crazy, all these different names and genres. I've got to put names and genres on it all. I wish I could just go, it's heavy metal. Here we go. We got this kick-ass heavy metal
Yeah.
band. So the next single's Not the End. That's coming out on the 20th, man. You're all pretty excited about dropping that one?
We're very excited. I think that Crowned, from everyone's feedback, was very much a hook banger in
Yeah.
terms of like there's a good mixture of like breakdown, clean chorus, brutal vocals, good drumming, bass, etc. And Not the End was very much a narrative,
Yep.
and we're very excited because Not the End, I think, tells more of a story within the song. and definitely has a little bit more of all of us, I think, in terms of instrumentally as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So when this is all said and done, are you guys looking to get on the road and maybe play some shows out that way, or what's your plans for the future with you
Yeah.
guys and Tides Collide, and where do we go from here?
Absolutely. So the next step, once we drop our single, which you guys should go and check out on the 20th, down on YouTube. It's called Not the End.
We'll
We
put the
actually
links.
have, yeah, absolutely. We'll put the video link next week or so. I'll drop the video link to Jai. And also we have 6th of June. We want to launch our EP. And
Yeah,
so and yeah, that's not too long away. I think that's like 4 weeks. Um,
awesome.
and I think that once isolation doesn't become isolation, what's the word for that? Openness? What's the
Yeah,
antonym?
I know. It's been a crazy time, but I'm one of those people. The only time I ever venture out is taking my daughter to school. It's or going to a gig. That's the one thing I miss: going to gigs and supporting
Yeah.
the bands. That is seriously the only thing I have really, really missed, because I've been able to keep these connections like this, and talking to guys like yourself has been, important, I think, and especially in this time for everyone to have these connections and be able to talk to someone and, at least socialize a bit.
It's huge. It's huge. And I think that it'll be nice. It'll be actually very funny. So to organize our first gig, we are thinking of an EP launch, and we've got a
Yeah,
couple of bands that Chris and Zach have worked with that we might consider teeing up a show, maybe even a joint EP launch, but we don't know.
yep,
I
yep,
think that the first thing is like get a venue, get all the bands keen, and then I mean, once the EP launch happens in terms of the show, we are thinking of actually doing a follow up, like, and build up our online following in terms
yeah,
of like showing a little bit about how did the record come about, a bit of Q&A, just to give it a bit more like personal contrast. And I think that, yeah, hopefully we'll get to like tour, and we'll get to the stage where we can play like bigger venues like
yep.
Bang and Next down here in Melbourne. And so yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. So 20th of May is when Not the End's gonna come out, and then 6th of June is when the EP is gonna come out. Probably the launch is gonna happen after that. And then keeping in touch with amazing magazines and podcasts like yourself as well.
Yeah, awesome. So the EP, are you able to talk about that much at all, or are we keeping
Yeah,
that under wraps
absolutely.
for?
No,
Have you?
I can talk about that.
Okay, cool.
Like thematically or like musically or just
A
everything.
name or what's yeah, have you got a name for it? Because I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it. I really like Crown. I'm looking forward to Not the End, because your email come across my desk and I was like, man, this is cool. And I checked yours out and I was blown away, man. I'm like, this is their first real track they're going with, their debut track, and this is phenomenal, man. It's really cool. I mean that, dude. I'm
Thank
impressed.
you. Thank you. And we received that. Thank you so much for the feedback. It's so nice to have our followers and just people who haven't heard us actually give us that sort of 4 minutes of their time to check us out. So thank you to all of our fans. I think that the EP is self-titled.
Yep,
Um,
cool.
it's self-titled, so it's just Tides Collide, Tides Collide.
Yep,
Um, I guess like it has a little bit of nice musical contrast in terms of, um, yeah, I guess like modern day breakdowns, but
yep,
also that sort of like clean element, and also harmonic element in terms of the jazz and also vocal harmonies as well.
yep,
Um, I can definitely talk a little bit about themes.
yep,
So it's all about coming out of a situation more positively and really stepping into a character, um, or multiple characters going through different pain and suffering, and just trying to look at it from the outside in terms of how can you learn from it, how can you grow from it, and then how can you sort of get the support of people around you to sort of help you pull out of that sort of pain. Um, and so definitely with Not the End, that particular song is about an acquaintance who took his own life. Um, And actually, I met him for the first time 3 days before he actually took his own life. It was very, very, it was very, very, I guess, it was hard but very surreal.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that people do that because, well, in his instance, it was definitely he was going through a really, really bad breakup, a few visa and also financial troubles as well. And me and his friend tried as much as possible to be there for him, but at the end of the day, he needed to really, I think he wanted to, I know, take the matter in his own hands and try to sort of have that closure. I think and this Not the End really talks about that sort of process of grief in
Yep.
terms of not just through the eyes of the person who is a victim, but it's a ripple effect of
Yeah.
grief um, and as people go through a personal crisis as well. Yeah, so it's very important, super, super important, and I hope that the themes really do come out pre-launch and post-launch of Not the End, so we can tell
Yeah.
this story that it's okay to not be okay,
Yeah.
as long as you're super honest and like keep checking up on your friends as well, and also, and yeah, closure doesn't have to be internal.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's a really important thing, especially in self-isolation. My gosh, is because every time you have like you're in your own head. So closure, you can have closure just by talking to people as well.
Yeah, it's an important message, and I'm really grateful that bands like yourself bring light to this as somebody who's also had personal experiences. And I think most people in Australia or in the world, full stop, has had experiences with this. And
Mm,
it is important for them to realize they are not alone. And at the end of the day, like, it's not the end. Don't just, because when that you make that decision, it's over. So if you're having these thoughts or issues, reach out, talk to someone, make these connections. Because you aren't alone. I've been in that position myself where I've been so down and had reached out, and it's important for people like yourselves and for me to go, it's okay to feel down, and it is okay to reach out and talk to people, man. So I applaud you guys for bringing that message to light.
thank you, thank you. And we also have to be aware of like the people who are affected by grief as
Yeah.
well. As yeah, as I said, it's a ripple process. If one person is absent in the community due to suicide, it's a ripple effect in terms of friends feel that and have that self-awareness, and they may change as a person.
Yeah.
They may change as a person, and you may not like it. So you have to have that sort of empathy, that as much empathy as humanly possible, without
Yep.
trying to put their position down in a way.
Yep. Yep.
It's very,
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah, so you guys are this real cool up and coming metalcore band, man. If you could choose any like metalcore band in Australia you could play with, like when you get up and going, who would you choose, man? I'm just gonna throw it out there. 'Cause you got
That's
some dope
cool.
bands, man.
Yeah, no, I really like that question. We were on CMDR actually, which is a local community radio station, and they asked exactly the same thing.
Did they?
So you're looking for no, it's really good. It's really good because local music is sometimes the best music. It's like
Yeah,
fresh and raw. Yeah.
yeah, man.
Are you talking nationally or in terms of just in Victoria?
Whoever, dude, whoever, man.
Oh, uh, in Australia. Angus would say North Lane is a huge influence, and he would love to be with them. I think I would love to tour with Savior.
Yeah,
Like, there's a huge like light and shade that's happening there. That's amazing. And also, I would love. I think Tom loves Make Them Suffer if we're going quite local.
yeah, make
Uh,
them suffer, good dude.
And then Jared will probably say Bellhaven and some of the pop punk bands as well that are like up and coming.
Yeah,
So like I think he listens to yours truly, Calling All Captains. Yeah, it's very very different tastes.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess like that would sort of be a whole. Oh, did I say who I would be going to? I'm not too sure.
You pick.
Yeah, Savior. Yeah, it was
Savior,
Savior.
you did say
Yeah.
Savior, yep.
Yeah, Savior is a great band.
Yeah, so where would be the best place for guys to get along, everyone to get along and support Tides Collide?
That's awesome. So Jai, if and everyone at Crannk, if you would like to support us, go and head over to facebook.com/Tides Collide. That's where most of our fan base will get the latest updates. You can definitely go and stream Crowned on all of platforms if you want an audio. And if you also want to follow us on YouTube and have a look at what videos we're doing and other visual content, just YouTube Tides Collide. And please do not click on New Haven's dash Tides Collide. New Haven is a band that took Tides Collide before we were actually formed. Look for the one with the person with the long hair, two Asian dudes, and the other bearded guy. That one.
That's really cool. Our Crown is the single you want to be looking for if you're typing that in as well. So,
Yep. So Crown, and then this time not the end.
and
This time next.
we can pre-order as well, can't we? Can we pre-order the EP coming up?
I believe I'll need to get back to you on that actually.
Okay.
We're just sorting out that sort of logistics down in our camp.
Once you do, we'll get that up for everyone at Crannk to get along and pre-order that as well.
That'll be awesome. That's very awesome. But I think that with the pre-order comes value. So I hope that we can kind of give a little bit of something extra if we do go along that route. Yeah, just for those listeners at Crannk and yourself.
Awesome. Okay, and before we sign out here, did you want to shout out, thank you, or last words?
I really want to thank the boys in the band. I think that they have been one of the most earnest and hardworking teams I have ever come across. So Jared, Tom, and Angus. I want to get a shout out to all of the producers. So Chris from Monolith Studios and Zach from Earthtide Studios. Thank you for being the grandfathers of our sound. And I think lastly, I want to thank Daniel Ramsey from Ten of Swords Collective for helping us craft these sort of narratives into beautiful, poetic music videos too. And yep, that is the final thank you. Not Daniel Ramsey, but the final thank you is for all those people who actually bothered to listen and gave us a like, gave us a share. All those people who have actually watched us. You definitely hear more of us soon. Thank you.
Awesome. Justin, thank you so much for taking some time out to have a chat with me about Tides Collide and everything you got going on. For myself and Crannk, cheers, mate. And I'm really looking forward to everything you guys have got going on. We'll be on that. Thank you.
I'm so thankful. Thank you so much, Jai, Craig, and all the people at Crannk and the listeners too.
Cheers, mate.